Hello everyone, welcome to another Top 5 Friday. So when you have done a show as long as we have, you're gonna have a lot of cringy moments. One might even say the whole show is cringy, but that's an argument for another day. I say it is. But anyway, I wanted to narrow that list down of a ton of cringy moments into my top 5 cringy moments of the show of all time. And my list is by no means is a complete list. There are a lot of other cringy moments, but although I will say there are some cringy moments that you guys think are cringy that I don't. One person, in fact, actually said that he thought that us going and looking for games door to door was cringy, and I think to myself, well, that's not cringy. That's a genius idea. What are you talking about? So your cringy moments may not be our cringy moments or my cringy moments, and vice versa, but to me, these are the ones where I look at and I'm like, I wish we could go back and not do that. But first, this video is sponsored by Ridge Wallet. Looking for the perfect Christmas gift? Well, look no further than Ridge Wallet. Let's face it, most of us guys, we don't upgrade our wallets. We stick with the same one for a long time. Well, now I've upgraded. I love this thing. It's small, but it's tough, and it has RFID blocking, so people can't pickpocket you digitally, which I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it's a thing, and this blocks that. Plus, this thing hurts my butt cheeks all day when I'm sitting on it. This doesn't. It holds up to 12 cards, has room for cash, and has a lifetime warranty. There are over 30 colors and styles. I love this thing, but you don't even have to take my word for it. Listen to the over 30,000 5-star reviews. Now you can get 10% off of this right now, plus you get free shipping and free returns if you don't like it. All you gotta do is go to ridge.com/chodes. Yes, our code is chode, the chode code. It's pretty fitting, right? Check them out today.
It's Friday night, don't know what I'm gonna do tonight. I could sit here and pick my nose while I watch a brand new video. Whoa. Top 5 Friday tonight.
So it was very hard to come up with this list. And I don't mean it was hard to find 5 things. That was easy. The hard thing was experiencing them again and wanted to remind people that they exist. But nevertheless, here we are, number 5. I know damn well someone's gonna leave a comment in the bottom of this video. Well, the Top 5 Friday theme song is pretty cringe. So number 5 on my list is just a little thing. It's not a major thing. And a lot of people, I'm sure, they just gloss over. It's no biggie. But when I watch this, I'm like, God, that's cringe. So it was the episode where we went to Vegas and we had our friend Christian, who was very young at the time. I think he was 20, 21, in that same age group of Jordan. They were young. But we went game chasing in Vegas. It was on the episode, and there was a point where they were buying retro games, and I made this nice little speech about how, it was so wonderful that the kids were buying retro games, and it meant that retro was never gonna die. Essentially what that means is that retro's never gonna die. I go back and I watch that and I'm like, God, that is so cheesy, so cringe. Like, it's the most important, wow, young people buying retro games, it's like it's the most important thing in the world, like it's national history or something like that. Like, it's so important. Stupid, naive Billy, season 2 Billy, thinking to himself, oh, we've made an impression on the youth. No. Just no. Now, number 4 is, it's a little trip we took to San Antonio with Eric the second time around, and at the end of the episode, we had him secretly mic'd up asking random strangers for video games, and believe it or not, okay, so here's the thing with that. That's worked for us, okay? Like, we have randomly asked random strangers if they have video games, and we have gotten yes answers before, and actually have gotten video games before. It doesn't happen often, maybe like once or twice total, but it has happened, okay? We'd be at a restaurant or whatever, just sitting down chilling, and the waitress comes by and, hey, you got any video games? Oh, actually, I think my mother does them up in her attic. That's how she talks, right? But so it happens, and so I was like, you know what? We got an hour to kill. Why not just do that? Why not see if we can just get lucky on camera? Although if if it did happen and we did get lucky and somebody did say they had video games, someone would probably say we're faking it anyway, so you can't win. But anyway, yeah, nobody had video games, but the whole thing was just, he looked so awkward, and it was not his idea. He didn't want, in all fairness to Eric, he did not want to do this, but I was like, come on, it'll be great, it'll be funny. And he didn't want to do it. Like, I was, you know, actually this is fun. It actually is funny. It is funny. Maybe this isn't cringe. It's cringe, but it's funny at the same time. I have to, like, some of these moments, I mean, they're cringe and they're just cringe, but this is cringe, but it's also funny. I still laugh at this. Maybe it's not as cringe as I think it was when I thought it was when I wrote this list, but yeah, there's cringy moments in it when like some little lady walks by and there's Eric standing there like a creepazoid, and then ghosts make the lights go out. Okay, so this one actually cringed me when I was editing it, and it's cringed a lot of you as well. It's one of the most common comments on this episode. No, it's not one of those. It is by far the most common comment on this particular episode, and that's Jared jumping over the counter at Game Room Trading Post. You guys do not like that moment. And I have to admit, you know, I'm not gonna just put this on this list because you guys might not like it. Like I said, this is my list, but yes, when that happened, I didn't really notice it much because I was actually going around the counters myself, so I didn't really. I knew he had done it, but I was so interested in what games were back there, I didn't really care. But while editing it, I was like, oh my god, like that could have turned out bad, man. And you see like the look on her face. But I will say, in all fairness though, he did ask. And not a lot of people know this or care. But yeah, he did ask beforehand, before he did. He didn't just randomly do it out of disrespect or anything like that. He asked, and she said yes. It's like you can maybe barely hear it on the video. I'm not sure, but yes, he asked, and it was pretty cringy. And it turned out bad. It would have ruined our trip to Canada, though. You know, having to take him to the hospital with a severed artery in his foot. Would have worked out for him and Heidi, though, on that trip, because then they wouldn't have been scared by the alien. And we all know what happened with that. They were scared by the aliens. And so maybe Jared wished his foot would have gotten cut. He would have been in the hospital and spared the horror that was the UFO we saw. All right, so number 2 on the list is something that I am guilty of, and I am not proud of it whatsoever. When we took our trip to Norway, I mic'd myself up, and I asked the Imperial Guards, like, I don't know what they're actually called, I'm sorry. Anyone from Norway, I apologize, but they're like the British Royal Palace Guards, but I guess they guard the palace of the Norway president of their castle. Yeah, anyway, we went there, and I felt the need to be an asshole and walk up to him while he was doing his job. Very, very, very well, I might add. He was standing there guarding quite well, and yeah, I chose that moment to ask him if he knew if he had any video games. Now I look like an American asshole. And, you know, and then Logan Paul did all that stuff in Japan and made Americans look like dickheads. And Americans always have this reputation of looking like dickheads when they go to foreign countries and they can't behave themselves. And they just do all kinds of buffoonery, and we just get a bad rap. And I hate the fact that I added to that list. So I'm at Norway being an. And now I'm sure that guard probably hates all Americans now, thinking that we're just a bunch of video game obsessed morons, which we are. I do feel extremely cringy when I watch that. I'm like, that's the worst part of the Norway episode, and that's the worst part of that entire season for me. I'm just watching it, and I can't watch it. Like, I can't watch it. I shouldn't even put it in the episode, but I did. I ended up putting it in the episode for whatever reason. I guess at the time, it didn't cringe me, but over time, it has gotten worse for me. Every time I watch it now, it's just more cringy, more cringy, more cringy. And now everybody in Norway thinks I'm a jerk off. I guess that makes 2 countries now. All right, number 1. The most cringy moment of the entire show happens to be the worst episode ever created. It also has Jared in it and it's not Jared's look, it's not Jared's fault, okay? Just happens to have Jared in it again. And I feel bad for Jared. I'm not trying to pick on Jared here, but he just has the worst luck, I guess, when it comes to being on Game Chasers. He just ends up being in the most cringy moments. And it's not because Jared's in there. I'm not gonna get involved with any of that personal stuff, okay? It has nothing to do with it. It's what we did in that episode. And then the whole second half of it feeling like it's basically a large advertisement. And it's the Train to Slipville or whatever the episode is called. So we go to Kenny's garage and we're buying stuff. It is the same thing. But then Kenny's like, hey, I got this ColecoVision. Why don't you come over to the place where I work, where we jump in to make video games, and then we can do this little challenge. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like a fun idea. That's something we've never done in an episode before. Sure, why not? It ends up being modern, like, mobile games and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, this looks like a giant advertisement, and it does. And we didn't get paid for that. I wish we had at least gotten the ColecoVision out of it, but I can't spell, so screwed the pooch on that. It is so bad on so many different levels. I cannot watch it. It is. And at the time, again, I was like, this is something new, different. We hadn't done anything like this before. I think it'd be interesting. Sometimes when you do something different, it works out. Sometimes when you do something different, it doesn't. And this is one of those moments where it didn't work out. And you know what? I gotta give it to Kenny. Like I don't blame him. I do not blame him. Like, hey, I can get these guys over, to our company and plug a few games and give them a ColecoVision. And I don't think nobody's at fault or anything. Like, nobody did anything bad. So I don't want to give that impression that anybody did anything bad. Nothing. Like, Kenny wasn't in the wrong or anything. We weren't in the wrong for going there. It just sometimes things don't translate well when you have a show. Sometimes they don't. It's just not fun. It just doesn't work. And that's just one of those occasions where just the pieces didn't fit and it just didn't work. But we shot it and I didn't really have anything else. I'm like, I'm still going to put it in. And it just doesn't feel like, I think that's the biggest thing, is like that second half of that just does not feel like Game Chasers at all anymore. And it's pretty cringe. So that's it. That's my top 5. I want to hear your most cringy moments of the show in the comments below. I'm sure a lot of them are going to be looking at door to door. And I don't care what any of you say. That was genius, and we should do it again.